Hello everyone, and welcome to this walkthrough of an Android Studio project written in Kotlin using Jetpack Compose. In this video, we'll explore how to build a simple tip calculator app. This app asks for a bill amount, a tip percentage, and then shows the calculated tip. There's also an option to run the tip up to the nearest whole number. I'll be breaking the explanation into two parts. The part 1, that it will be in this video, will focus on the structure on the UI layout, and then for my next video, in the part 2, we'll dive into the calculation logic, the custom composables, and the interactivity of the app. Even though this app is small, it covers a lot of important compose concepts like the state, the modifiers, layouts, and the preview. So let's get started. The app starts with the main activity, which is the entry point of all our app. Notice that the main activity extends component activity. This is a different from the old days of Android, where we extended app compat activity. With Jetpack Compose, component activity is the recommended base. Inside onCreate, we first call enable edge to edge. This makes the UI look more modern by throwing content behind the system bars. Next, we call super.onCreate. And then the real work starts with set content. In set content, we grab everything in our tip time theme, and this applies consistent colors, typography, and styles across the app. Inside the theme, we define a surface that fills the whole screen with modifier that fill max size. Surfaces are like the foundation blocks in Compose. They provide background colors, shapes, and elevation. Inside that first surface, we call our main UI function, tip time layout. This is where the calculator screen is built. Now let's look at the tip time layout function. At the top, we define three state variables using remember and mutableStateOf. First, we have amount input that stores the text typed for the bill amount. Then we have tip input that stores the text typed for the percentage. And finally, we have roundup, that is a boolean that decides whether to round up the tip. These are reactive states. That means whenever the user changes one of them, like typing a number, the UI automatically updates. This is one of the biggest advantage of Compose. You don't need to manually call find view by ID or refresh the screen. Compose automatically takes care of recomposition. But since these inputs come in my strings, we need to safely convert them into numbers. For example, we have this variable called inval amount that is equal amount input that to double or null. And what this means? This means try converting the input to a double. If it fails, it's going to be default to 0.0. This way, if the user leaves the field blank or types something like ABC or any other kind of letter, the app won't crash. It will simply use 0. The same logic applies for tip percent. And finally, we pass these numbers into calculated tip along with the roundup state to get the formatted tip result. Next comes the layout. Everything is placed inside a column. The column has some useful modifiers. First, we have the status bar padding that prevents overlap with the status bar. After that, we have the padding that gives spacing so the content isn't glued to the edges. After that, we have the vertical scroll that allows scrolling if the content is too tall, useful on smaller fonts. And finally, we have safe drawing padding that ensures nothing is hidden behind system navigation. These small details are what make the app feel polished and professional on different devices. And inside the column, the UI is built step by step. First, a text composable with a title calculated tip. Then, two customs edit number field composables, one for the bill amount and one for the tip percentage, and a round tip row, which is where the user decides if they want to round up. Finally, a text composable that shows the calculated tip. At the bottom, there's also a spacer to add extra vertical space so the layout looks balanced. And don't forget, at the bottom of the file, there's a preview function that let us preview the layout directly in the Android Studio without launching an emulator. Really handy for quick design checks. So that's overall structure. An activity that launches a surface, a layout built with a column, and a set of states that react to the user input. In part 2, for my next video, we'll dive into the real logic, the calculative function, how the text fields work, and how the switch control rounding. So let's jump there next.